Hello, welcome to my channel again. As I promised in my previous videos about Respondus, I made a video for you to give you tips and tricks about what is usually causing problems during the proctoring exams and what are some of the problems from the professor side and what are some of the problems from the student side. So today we're going to look into the problems and quick solutions and tips and tricks. If you like this video, please share and like and subscribe. And I also want you to comment below so I can respond to your problems. All right, so let's start. So what are the main problems when proctoring online exams? And this video is specifically to Respondus lockdown browser, but it can also apply to some of the other proctoring services like ProctorU and RPNow. I kind of like it to divide it into three different categories when there's an assignment or exam or a quiz or any type of assessment and evaluation. I would like to think of the proctoring services pre-exam, during the exam, and post-exam. That kind of makes it easy to understand what's happening and what can go wrong before the exam and what can go wrong during the exam and what can go wrong after the exam. And I'll describe all of these with solutions if you continue watching this video. So if I think about the amount of work and time required for all of these problems and solutions, it takes really a lot of time. For teachers and facilitators, time is the most important asset, and the communication email is another tool that we use to fix and solve the problems. So how I see it about the amount of work and time required, if this is a time scale and this is a magnitude, let me get my pen. If this is a time scale, x-axis, and then if this is magnitude, right? How I see it is, as I described, pre-exam, during exam, and post-exam, I kind of see it pre-exam, we have a lot of things going on. We need to make a lot of communications. We need to prepare our instructions for students. We need to understand what the students need and what is our exam requires and how should our questions should be and how should be our instructions and all of these things. It takes time, but every little task is kind of little. If this is a magnitude y-axis, right? So it's kind of not too much and you can easily fix them because it's usually you before the exam. It's about you preparing your instructions, preparing your questions, communicating with the students, what will cover the exam, when the exam will be, what are the specifics of your exam. The magnitude, the work is not too much, and then time is not real long. You can solve the problems like in a very short amount of time with a little bit magnitude, right? During exam, when you compare to pre-exam, during exam, really from a facilitator, from an instructor point of view, you don't really do too much because you just launch it and then now it's students' turn and learners' turn, right? And you still have things to do like being on call for student problems, right? But this is also not too long. Your exam may be at most 2 hours, so it's just 2 hours and the magnitude is really not too long, not too much, right? But the next one, post-exam, if we have problems, it takes longer to fix and the magnitude is too much. Probably you have a couple of students who couldn't take the test and you have problems with proctoring, reviewing the proctoring services, understanding if they cheated or not, grading the exam, all of these things. But these are big things, but it's not a lot. There's like, if this is grading, this is proctoring, reviewing the quizzes, and basically maybe you may have to do one exam or not for a couple of students, okay? It it has a lot of effort. So post-exam is not really an easy phase for an instructor and a facilitator as it's usually thought to be. Okay, so it kind of pre-exam is work, and during exam not too much work, and post-exam yes work but not too much. It takes longer because you're working, right? You have other things that is scheduled, so post-exam phase is not really easy for a professor, a facilitator, and an instructor. Okay, so let's cover some pre-exam problems. What can be some of the problems and how can we solve them, right? So I kind of like it, think of it technical problems and ignorance or forgetting things, right? So I will enumerate the things that I mostly encounter and I see around the problems. So, and I came up with some solutions for you. So, and technical problems can be because of facilitators and learners, right? So as instructors, as facilitator, you might have some problems as well. Let's look into some of the problems. There can be a maintenance in your institution, okay? A scheduled institution, and it happens to be your exam time. So what you want to do is coordinate it with your institution and see if there's a maintenance, because it's usually posted a couple of weeks earlier if it's not really something urgent, and they want you to coordinate your exams, and your exams are preset day one of the semester. So definitely what you want to do is to coordinate the announcement, and if there's anything going on in terms of maintenance of Respondus or Canvas or RP Now or Proctoring, okay? As a facilitator, maybe you can do wrong dates, okay? Instead of October, you might just happen to choose November, and then instead of AM, you may choose PM, okay? So you gotta be very careful in here because it affects everybody and it messes up your whole process. So what you can do, definitely check with the calendar and check it twice. And if you have a TA, use them and let them know that the exam is ready and they can take the test, and or they can see if everything is correct, right? Because sometimes we are really busy, so one exam may not be a very big thing in our life. So let's use TAs and course associate if we have them. You might have set the wrong question, meaning that let's say you wanted them to fill in the blanks, but you really didn't set it up as fill in the blanks, or you wanted them to write their sentences in a box, but you just provided them a multiple choice question. So these things can happen. Very rarely this is happening, but double check your tools and double check if your settings for the specific question is, if you are asking some description, some freestyle writing, make sure that you choose the specific setting. And I recommend all the facilitators take your own exam, and this clearly shows you if you have a problem with the test, and also it gives you how many times, how long it takes you to take your own exam, to do the calculations, to do the drawings, and then you can decide how many minutes you need to grant to your students. Another one can be if you are using question banks on Canvas, then there may be some problems with the wrong chapters. Let's say your first exam is covering from 1 to 4, but your question bank somehow has some questions from chapter 5 to 6, right? And then when the question banks mix them up, then the students might end up having some questions that are not yet covered. Okay, so you have to check each and every question and their respective chapters and your syllabus and Canvas instructions, so you cover the correct chapters. This is very broad overview of what can go wrong from a professor. If you have more questions, please comment below so we can answer. We can come up a lot of different and more problems too, but these are very general and it affects students a lot if you make if there's a maintenance, if the wrong dates are put in the Canvas, and if you set up a wrong question, because it makes your credibility go down a little bit. some problems with the learner. The most important problem, pre-exam problem from a learner side, is not enough training. So when they are using Proctoring U, RP Now, Respondus Lockdown Monitor, there's a lot of videos and trainings, but they don't do it. Somehow they don't do it, and they are not ready for the exam. So one thing that you can do as a facilitator is remind them. You can announce it, you can make piazza posts, and you can email them, you can tell them in person if you meet them. If you are teaching in class or over Zoom, you can over and over remind them again, repeat them again that they have to take the training test. And another problem, also recent software updates. If they, let's say they took exam 1 and everything was good, and exam 2 was 4 weeks later, and there was a recent software update, browser update, or Respondus update, so they don't know it, so they didn't update their browser, and now they have a problem. So apart from reminding them, what usually instructors do, they make a practice test, they prepare a practice test on Canvas and set it in Respondus or other proctoring services and leave it open all semester for multiple retakes. And the reason is your exam 1, the student's exam 1 was good, but exam 2, there may be recent updates, so they may want to take it. And I encourage all of them with my remindings, announcements, emails, and telling them in class to take it again. All right, and I sometimes make it even gain credits for taking this practice test. And apart from some technical issues, learners, they forget the exam date. How this happen? It happens. They forget the exam date. They didn't write it down. They don't know it. They don't read your announcements. They don't read your emails. Well, there's nothing you can do for that. You do your announcements, you do your emails, you do your piazza posts, you communicate with them, and if they are really forgetting it, then maybe they shouldn't be in your school in higher education or master or PhD, right? They should not forget. They need to know time management and how to keep track of their exams. And usually, especially for online and even in-class courses, all the exam dates are set from day 1. And all of them are on Canvas, and some of the instructors also put that in their syllabus. So there's no way that they don't know it, they forget it, and they have to learn not to forget. Okay. Well, it took a lot, so I'm gonna cover during exam and post-exam instructions, problems with proctoring services in another video. Thank you. Please comment below if you want to contribute to my videos. Thank you so much.